Hello, so happy VE Day, Victory in Europe Day. That's the title of the stream, although, we probably will end up talking about it because lots of people find World War II interesting, but obviously we'll talk about Corona or whatever else people want to talk about. So tomorrow's video, which I was quite happy worked out all right, was modifying the RS-70 so it responds to beta radiation. So all I've literally done is taken off the shielding that was on the GM tube, cutting open the case so beta radiation can get through. What I'm going to end up doing is put some tape over there, obviously, before I use it again, just so contaminants can't get in. But yeah, quite fascinating getting an RS-70 to respond to radiation, because it's one of those meters that, normally you can never get to do anything. Yeah, happy V-Day. That's all right, Alex. Hopefully you can enjoy listening to the stream, even if you can't comment much or whatever. Weapon Collector just sent me a message, so I'll just quickly check what he said. Oh, he says we'll join the stream now. So yeah. Yeah, I'm alright, Spiderclaw Days. So tomorrow's video will be on this, getting it to actually work. Because what I did was, for those of you that just missed it, took the steel or like lead housing off of the beta tube there, cut that open, so I'll neaten that up a bit and put some tape on it. I thought this was Bakelite, but actually wasn't. It's that kind of chipboard like wood that's varnished. So I don't know if you can see there, look, it's actually wood, which surprised me. So yeah, a wood case Geiger counter, very odd. But yeah, there we go. So it's not actually Bakelite. But yeah, so it's quite cool having a working RS-70, as in, one that goes off when you put it on the radiation alarm setting. It looks like Bakelite, but it's not. That's what surprised me. I actually said Bakelite in the video, and it was only when I was drilling through it and then cutting it open, I was going, this isn't Bakelite because it's got a wood texture. Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing to do, isn't it, Shackleton? But was there any social distancing rules at the graveyard or whatever? Because I know at the moment people can't have proper funerals, really, can they? Hello, Richard. Yeah, I'm good today, Henry. It's a bit hot and sweaty today because it's just quite a humid day and it's like 25 degrees Celsius. I mean, I know for people who are in like Florida, that's nothing. But I'm type 2. I'm all right. Yeah, what I got this to go off with was the Czech sauce that came in the Chinese Type 75 Geigers thing, because that had that quite hot bit of strontium 90 in it as the Czech sauce. So I used that because that was the one that I think when this was new was meant to be like 10 Rontgen equivalent or something. And now for me, it's like 2.5 to 5 Rontgen equivalent. But that means it was very good for, just pushing up against the tube on there and setting the alarm off. Veterans Day. Well, Victory in Europe Day, basically. AK-47C has a question. I bought a GP5 but had to return it because it was the wrong size. How do I actually measure my head to determine the right size? Right, there's a chart behind me, but that's going to be a little bit small. But let me get you a GP5 measuring chart up and then explain it. So bear with me a minute. Yeah. This is what religion sounds like. Yeah, Jerry Jackson. But yeah, GP5, we want a GP5 size guide, size chart. So here we go. If I can get this up in a decent resolution, which I can't, thanks Google. Let me use DuckDuckGo, because with DuckDuckGo, what I can do is type in GP5 size chart, and I can actually just open an image in a new tab rather than it. Right, so let's just find one that's actually equivalent to. All right, so rather than using inch, refer to the centimeter bit on this. I'm just going to check it correlates with that chart on the wall. 63.5, 65.5, 66, 68. Yeah, this is the same sizes. So if I get this file up, right, if you look at this, there you go, AK-47. Look at that link, and then get a tape measure, put it like that thing shows from your chin like that, around your head to there. Take a measurement in centimeters or inches. Centimeters is the one on the right that says SM rather than CM. Use that and then equate it to the size. There's not really any modern filters you can put in the PDF, I'm afraid, unless you mean the PDF. But for the PBF, that's the cheek filter one. Oh, thanks, Alex, because I didn't realise there was a new Jerry Jackson out until I looked the other day and saw there was one about religion. All right, Eltrix. Yeah, well, Rave Bra, if you didn't know, this year I was originally planning that and then didn't, obviously, because of Corona. And it was just quite difficult trying to book one this year, annoyingly. Yeah, the weird thing is with radiation, Connor, is alpha, beta, and gamma, but especially with alpha and beta, you kind of get like hard or soft alpha and beta. So it's not just like you lift up a bit of alpha something, and your skin stops it or paper stops it. It stops the majority of it, but it's like even americinium 241. If you put that directly on some Geiger Muller tubes, you get more than just the gamma getting through, but obviously not the full extent of the alpha. But yeah, the thing is, I wouldn't worry too much about handling it because it's only going to be hitting you, when you're handling it. It's not like it gets in and then gets stuck in your hand. If you ingest it, there's obviously risks, but well, it'd take up a lot of space, wouldn't it, in my hand luggage or suitcase? Daniel D says, I think he doesn't like me. Who are you talking about? I can't even remember you. I don't know, cringy kid. I'd assume not, because you need a proper rubber factory for it. Okay, that's interesting, Commander Mike. So they actually started off, did they, at like size 3 or size 4 sort of thing, rather than starting off at like size 1? Yeah, in theory, they should mix the Ripper just because they're particulate filters, and particle filters are basically all you need to. Yeah. All right, Ultravirus. LOLO 11HHH30. No, the only World War One mask I have is that reproduction pH gassed, which is a pretty cheap reproduction. So yeah, I suppose the issue is as the weather gets hotter, and more people want to go outside, won't they? I don't know what you mean there by Mexa Ripper, or do you mean the color of the filters? I mean, the actual NBC filters are going to be the ones that are like that sort of grey-black color, because they've got activated charcoal in. But the ones that are like the white-grey color, if they're particle filters, they're still going to block particles, so they should still work. GOST filters, Daniel, 40mm GOST filters. So modern Russian and Chinese filters, but older Polish, older Czech filters, that sort of thing. Yeah, that's a bit annoying, Harris. It's up to you, but yeah, if it's got holes in the foil, it's not sealed. Although, does it still have the plugs in it? Because with FP5 filters, they normally have a plug in the bottom and a plug on the top. So if they're all intact, it will still be sealed. It will just be that, the foil's a bit damaged. Preppers in the Wild says, can you shout me out? There you go. Peach says, I like the heat. Women wear less. Well, that's a good thing, isn't it? Just make sure, Fuzzy, that you might have to, if you're in the UK, you might have to do the thing of getting them re-deactivated if they're not currently deactivated to the current standard, which will cost you money. Like, that's the problem with mine, is all of my deacs, because they fall under the older deac law, I'd have to spend like £200 per gun getting them re-deactivated and recertified, so it's just not worth doing. I'd make a loss if I sold them doing that, so I might as well just keep them. What do you mean, UFC, can you wear normal? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Yeah, that's one good thing, Daniel. You get to wear a gas mask, and most people, at least, can't stare at you. That's a shame, Radon. Do you know why? But don't worry too much about it. But I know it doesn't allow it from certain countries or certain like bank cards or something. Depends what you mean by normal chemical gloves, UFC. If you mean like very thin nitrile gloves, I would not recommend that, no, because lots of chemicals will get through them. If you mean like washing up gloves or thicker rubber gloves, they should work all right. But again, they're not going to be really NBC rated, but they still at least protect you to some degree. That's good, Commander Mike. I would schwabble wobble, but at the moment I don't need to. I've been wearing my half face masks. I'd probably wear my CT12 rather than the S10, but yes, the answer is I could very well do that. NBC filters the particle filter, but it's still definitely going to work after it's expired. In terms of charcoal protection, that's kind of like how long is a piece of string kind of question, just because charcoal protection can really vary, in terms of absorbing vapor or adsorbing vapor, I should say. No, I don't have a plague mask. Mark, if you mean something like a plague doctor mask. It was a custom built one, but it's an AMD. Was it 3900X? I'm trying to remember that it was like when AMD did the 7nm CPUs. It was a top end one when the series initially came out. You could wear a couple of smaller gloves, UFC. If you really wanted to, just get regular nitrile gloves and then wear them under like cold weather gloves or something. And as much as that might make your hands hot, it's at least, a bit thicker than just having a regular nitrile glove on. That's good. The only problem is with some of those Scott filters fun with guns is they're kind of like sealed very, very basically, as in it's just a plastic bag around a filter, aren't they? They're not, sealed all that well. Christian Stevens says in Pennsylvania they made masks mandatory but gave everyone only 2 days to get them, so people are wearing masks that don't work because they've just got a single layer of cloth that doesn't make sense. It's sort of a shame, but I can understand why they're doing it. But everybody wearing a bit of cloth over their face is at least going to make it harder to cough and sneeze on other people, so there is that. I suppose Iron Man this year, it could be Virus in Europe Day, couldn't it? No, I mean, we don't find out till Sunday Shed on Fire if they're doing it, but the government ministers were sort of playing down any, easing up today, so who knows, No, sadly, I've not been to Canada or the US before, Henry. I've been to quite a lot of places in Europe, but I don't think I've ever been outside of Europe. Or if so, like not very far outside of Europe. How are you doing that, Preppers in the Wild? Building a nuke siren? Is it like a hand crank air raid siren or whatever? Connor says, stop skipping my questions, even though he hasn't asked me any questions that have shown up in the chat. So don't get rude with me, Connor. Yeah, it would work, UFC MMA. I've done videos on that sort of thing before. I mean, again, not for full-blown, full-on, really horrible military NBC protection, but giving you a much better level of protection than basic stuff, yes. Straight 6 Diesel says, I'm a logger in Norway, haha. Good luck. Not only does it not live more than 20 people, does it not live 20 people in the whole country? Oh, I suppose, yeah, you're right where you are, aren't you? Is that the mechanical, like, clockwork one, Iron Man, like the big green thing? They used a lot of different masks, Connor, things like simple Y2K or U2K masks, to some of the more, sophisticated Soviet particle masks, to firefighters' masks, just cloths tied around their face, military gas masks. They used a whole assortment of different things, basically, depending on what the soldiers were issued with, for, like, liquidators and that. Yeah, I wonder if any will get back to you, Commander Mike. I mean, they're pretty desperate for passengers, aren't they, at the moment? Yeah, it's a thing. Ian explains the origin of that being fuck off goes to the wars Britain used to have with France, like the 100 Years' War and things like that. And it was because English longbowmen would pull, obviously, bowstrings back with those fingers, supposedly. Um, when they were captured, the French would cut off the tips of those fingers so they couldn't pull back a bowstring. So it became an insult to the French to do that, to mean fuck you, I've still got my fingers. Apparently that's where it originated from. I don't know if that's completely true, but yeah, it's to do with pulling a bowstring. But yeah, that's V for victory and like peace, and that's fuck off. And apparently that fuck off comes from I think it's the 100 Years' War with English and Welsh longbowmen. But yeah, the reason is obviously pulling a bowstring back. You'd normally use 3 or 2 fingers like that, specifically these 2 fingers. The M65 is a lot more practical, Mystic Gamer, because it takes 40mm filters, not cheap filters. Yeah, but we couldn't have beaten the communists in the war, Toby. Have you heard of Operation Unthinkable? White Wolf says the 100 Years' War was horrific. Quite a lot of those medieval wars are very horrible. Yeah, it is surprisingly hot today. I've not set up all my aircon again yet, but today's been one of those days where I've actually felt kind of sweaty, just sat about doing stuff in the house. Yeah, it could be Alex, but it's an interesting story, isn't it? 40mm filters replace 60mm filters. I mean, they're not really any better or any worse. Most of the time, they're the same weight or size. It's just there's a 40mm screw, not a 60mm screw. Operation Unthinkable, Jeremy, was Churchill's idea of basically invading Eastern Europe after the end of World War II to beat the Soviets. And the reason it was called Operation Unthinkable was because it was fucking stupid and we'd have got, our asses handed us by the Soviet Union. They could have very well done Iron Man. I know there's a lot of horrific things like that of like mutilating people so they couldn't do something to fight back, or kind of crippling them. No, there was no Spitfire fly past near me, random sod. Yeah, I heard that, Richie. You kind of think it's, again, a bit like what happened to me, somebody getting dobbed in by somebody who doesn't like them, even if they've not done anything strictly illegal. All right, bots. Just put them in a plastic bag. Don't throw them away. Just put them in a plastic bag. I suppose if you wanted to, you could get a clear plastic container, fill it up with PVA glue or something with a GP5 filter in it, and then once it's dried, you could take it out and have like a plasticky GP5 ornament, and it wouldn't leak, would it? I'll have to Google it. The name doesn't spring a bell out of my head at the moment. Oh, right, so it was a thing, was it, in the Falklands War? But it was cancelled, okay. That's probably why I've not heard of it, because it didn't go ahead. Yeah, scrim nets are really cool, aren't they, White Wolf? I like scrim nets. Oh, I know that it's like the ghost tapes, isn't it? Wandering Soul, where it's all about, surrender, your ancestors wouldn't be happy. It's a bit of a silly thing. Oh, Ian just put that Preppers in the Wild like one moment before you did. I'm all right, White Wolf. I did a bit of a DIY thing earlier that I'm pleased to report worked well, and you'll see it in a video tomorrow if you bother watching it, which was modifying a Polish RS-70 Geiger counter so the tube is exposed to beta radiation and it actually goes off. Unknown, thank you very much. He said I had to take someone to the hospital. I hope they're all right. He said not for COVID-19. I suppose that's a bit of a relief, but yeah, hope they're doing all right. But yeah, because this one's not got a proper strap on it, I'll actually cut that off there, I think. So they wanted you to take your PPE protection off to So take your protective equipment off to sanitize. I don't know if... Shouldn't you just wash the gloves if you're not taking all the gear off? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, isn't there, like that at the moment, bots, which is, like where it's spreading really fast in like care homes and certain wards, and that's pretty horrific. I mean, obviously, the problem we've been having in the UK, it was only until recently they, didn't even include care home deaths in the things. And now apparently there's even more like facilities, like mental health institutions where the deaths aren't being recorded. So again, our numbers are even worse than they look so far, and the UK's got some of the worst numbers in Europe. I'm just wondering if I had a load of D-cell batteries spare just sitting about, but I don't think I do, because otherwise I was going to just pop batteries in this and demonstrate it with that Geiger Muller tube there, but it's already mutated quite a few times, Mystic Game, but not mutated enough that it's a problem. No, I'm not on any of those Reddits, I'm afraid, Sebastian. I don't find Reddit a very interesting site, in all honesty. When all the lockdown stuff is over, yes, White Wolf. The issue is at the moment, I'm sure if I did a video of that, somebody would report it saying that wasn't essential exercise or something, and I'd get done. No, it wouldn't surprise me though, Iron Man. Yeah, if they used the ramrod and then forgot to take it out, it would be like blunderbussing it out, wouldn't it? Oh, I didn't even know they did delay the Russian Victory Day parade, but yeah, I suppose you can't really have a parade like that, can you? Velustelcleo, however it's pronounced, the Finnish surplus site, yeah, they've got a lot of good stuff on there. It's got a very clicky switch on this. The thing I love about this old Soviet Cold War stuff is how like clunky all the parts are. You can tell these bits aren't going to break easily. Yeah, at the moment, White Wolf, you can only go out for an hour a day to exercise, although I think they might have released the restrictions on that a bit, so you can go out to exercise. It doesn't have to be an hour, but, you shouldn't be going out for all that long. And you can only go out for shopping for, like, pharmacies or food stores. I have no idea what you said there, Straight 6 Diesel. It's obviously in a language I can't read. Assuming the FP5 sealed and in date, it's good to put on modern NATO masks. If you get an old FP5, it might fit a Ghost mask. FP5s are weird, as we've found out from chatting with a load of different people. It seems FP5s actually started off with a Ghost thread and then moved to a NATO thread. Probably because of tooling in Poland lying about the fact that they weren't actually making NATO filters, under like a NATO kind of production act. I'm good at the fighting mouth shoe. Yeah, I wear a mask to go shopping, Rich. At the minimum, it will be my Alpha Mesh dust mask, because that's an FFP 2.5 one, but quite lightweight and comfortable. Or I'll wear my like GVS lips or one of the sort of better ones. Could very well do fun with guns, but I'm not a virologist, so I couldn't tell you when, it gets worse or better. Well, as I've already said, Communist Dude, there wasn't a Spitfire fly past where I live, and you weren't meant to be outside anyway, so no, I obviously didn't see it. Yeah, I heard Germany's already having to tighten some things, aren't they, after loosening them? Oh, cool. There is 107 people in the stream. Don't forget to like the stream, everybody, because it helps them get shared. But, yeah. Yeah, that's one of the good things with the Czech government. I heard Mystic Gamer that quite early on they said to people need to wear, masks. Right, Massimo? But, yeah, so the video is on this tomorrow. But, yeah, it's a quite interesting getting one of these to actually go off. It's not baked-like funnel guns. I thought it was until you look closely. It's that, like, wood chip kind of material that's varnished. If you look at where I've cut the bit open, see the side of it, you can see it's not baked-like from that, because it's got like a wood chip texture. It's a bit like, chipboard stuff. So yeah, this is actually a wooden case. I thought it was baked-like, but no, it's wood. Yeah, well, I love this commie sort of varnished wood stuff, but yeah, it's like wood chips, which are kind of glued and varnished together. At the moment, Rich, I'm afraid it's really hard to recommend everything because everything is literally selling out. I'll link you to one that's on AliExpress. I don't know how long it would take to get to you, but it is a good mask. So this mask is good, assuming that they can actually dispatch it to you in a reasonable time. Yeah, M65Zs are meant to be fine. I mean, I've only got the standard M65, and I find that a bit meh, but the Z should be quite good. Oh, okay, Mike. I saw they were doing a Creator Insider thing a while ago saying that they were going to look into that. I'm just going to look on my real-time thing and see if it shows it. Oh, yeah. There we go. If I go on real-time analytics, I go to audience. It says when your viewers are on YouTube. And apparently it is 6 to 7 to 8 p.m. is most like purple. So, yeah, I guess when I stream, it should always be 6 to 9 p.m. sort of time. It seems most weekdays are exactly the same. It's like light purple. It starts getting light purple at about 10 a.m. Now, it's actually in UK time zone good, so it's not like it's US. So, yeah, it's sort of 10 a.m. is when people start coming on for the most part. 2 to 3 sort of p.m. is when more views start coming on. And then somewhere between like 6 and 10 p.m. is when the bulk of viewers are on. So again, streaming between like 6 and 8 p.m. is the best time to do it. Whether or not I should start putting videos to schedule later in the day, I don't know. But the thing is, with a regular video, when it's not a premiere or whatever, people can just watch it back whenever they want, can't they? Is that the like documentary White Wolf on Hitler, but it's kind of a pro-Hitler one? If so, no, I've not watched it, and it's probably Nazi propaganda. You know, while obviously World War II is not as simple as being Nazis really, really bad, everybody else super good. The Nazis certainly were not good guys. What might you try, sorry, when the DP63 comes in? Oh, cool, do a live stream. Yeah, don't do what I've done with this to the DP63, because you have no need to do that with a DP63. But yes, DP63 is fascinating. Oh, I've just wondered something now. Probably not, but I'm just wondering with a DP63, if the radium backplate, if I held that close enough to the thing, if I put batteries in this or a USB, could I set it off? Oh, shit. So let me try. Right, where did I put my USB plug for this? Did I put it down here somewhere? I need to find where I put that USB that I installed it for me, so I could plug it into the computer. If not, I'm going to have to find some batteries, which is annoying. But I might be able to set this off on the stream if I've actually got the cable handy. But no, I don't know where I've put it, so never mind. Let me look those up then, crispy pancakes. Sounds good. Yeah, it depends what time zone you're in, Ian explains, obviously, because I'm doing it normally in like the afternoon to evening UK time, which is GMT 0 or GMT 1. Crispy pancakes. They look interesting. So are they like a savoury thing or a snack thing? I suppose if it's tomato and mozzarella, they're more of a savoury thing, aren't they? They look interesting, though. So bird's eye do them. Minced beef and onion. Oh, I'll have to try some of them then. So it's kind of like a thin kind of... Tell you what, no. One of the chefs at work, you know, back when I was working, because non-coronavirus stuff, actually did do crispy pancakes like that. I think they called them Korean pancakes. And yeah, it was kind of like a crispy lasagna, almost like pancake. It was really, really nice. But yeah, it wouldn't be what you'd normally think of when somebody says pancake. But wow, I don't think I ever super chat weirdly on YouTube Radon, because normally when I super chat, like the only person I'd probably watch who does live streams I'd super chat on YouTube would be Weapon Collector, and he's demonetized, so I couldn't even do it. So I just support him on Patreon. But we have had one super chat this stream, so I think it still works. I think it's just some countries can't super chat. Yeah, where did I put that bloody cable? Because I'd want to actually try and run this now, and I don't have enough D-cells just laying about to you know, run it off some D-cells easily. But yeah, for those of you that are wondering what I'm on about with the thing, who aren't familiar with, thank you 11HHH30, and he's just proved to you it does still work. Yes, the glorious, scariest bit of radium you'll probably ever see. The back screen for the DP63A, the Soviets decided, not the moment, Briggs. I had a beer a bit earlier, about 5 p.m. when I had my dinner. Then I'll not have a drink till later on, you know, because otherwise I'll be pint after pint, won't I? So I have to. Right, so there we go. There's. Let me turn the backlight off, actually. User options. Where's the backlight? Or is that on display options? That'll be display, won't it? Hang on. Right, display mode. Not that one. I want backlight timer. There we go. Light off. Right. And I'll go back to the thing I was on before. Bear with me a second. Right. If it will rotate. Right, okay, so there's slightly above background radiation, because I've got that in my hand there. Then watch what happens. I'll just put it this way around when I put this on top of the DP63. That happens because, you know, the Soviets deciding to just put a massive radium painted backplate in. So when you're looking at the Geiger counter, you go, oh no, I have eye cancer. I have gone blind. The scary thing is, even when this is in its box, look, even when, notice why I've got a steel plate there, although it's still not good enough, because even when this is in its box, yeah, I'm keeping this one, Surviving the Apocalypse, and good afternoon to you, or good evening to you. Yeah, I've got this one, I'm just keeping this one as it is, because it's funny to just, you know, do that with it, but as you can see, but yeah, I'll put that down now, but yeah, the video tomorrow you might find quite interesting. Surviving the Apocalypse was... Yep, I've got an RS70 because I was sent a spare one by B-Store to attempt this with on the video to see if it would work. I've got an RS70 that responds to radiation now. So on the 0.5 setting, if you put a check source right there, it goes off. Because it does have a beta-sensitive tube, they just put them in like a steel liner inside. So the theory did actually work. Pay for what? Sorry, chemistry curiosities. DP63s are normally about 80 to 100 pounds. Henry timed him out for saying he got raped when his wallet got raped. Yeah, they're normally rave bra about 80 to 100 pounds, depending on shipping and everything else. Did I whack what, Floof? If you mean, why is there a hole here? No, that's been cut out. I drilled through it once I opened all the inside up. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it's not very nice for the casing to do that, but what I'm going to do is put some tape over there, and it actually works to beta radiation now. Yep, I think we all need to thank the people, like we were saying earlier. Shall I have your names pronounced, you know, for the people who gave the ultimate sacrifice, essentially. But yeah. Yeah, there's some Russian masks in the background, especially on the Lee Enfield. Look, some of the same ones on the poster hanging up there. Like the PTM one on the side, GP4, children's, what's the bloody name of it now? PDF. And then the GP5 on the far side. I used to have some more on there, but some of them I've taken down to show in videos and then put them back up. Yeah, the only thing though is, Alex, that this is a new feature, so I don't know if I go back. like 2019, I bet it won't show anything. Oh, it will, but the time show up as exactly the same. Yeah, it just automatically changes that back to last 28 days. Had a beer, Oscar. I'll have another beer a bit later. Yeah, the Russians did a fantastic job. The Soviets, yeah, pummeling Nazi Germany. But obviously, it wasn't just the Soviets, but they did pay a very heavy price. See, Commander Mike says, would you happen to know of any other modern design masks which are like the Soviet R2? I quite like the R2 design, although not a fan of the foam outer fabric. Which one's the R2? Let me look that up. Is that like the head wound mask? Where I'm... There's one that says R2 half face mask. Is it that one? I'm just seeing if I can actually find which one you mean by the R2. Can't get any to come up. Is it one a bit like that P2 one, like, you know, the Particle 2? What type one? Like the Y2K, U2K design. In terms of design similar to that, I mean, something like the GVS Ellipse isn't far off of it. I'm going to need to get some more of those, Surviving the Apocalypse, because I actually have some of those, but the ones I bought had a really annoying design flaw that they had a little bit of metal in them, and that was the bit that acted as a spacer, and there's pretty much all of them. As soon as you open them, the metal just falls out. So every time I handle them, I find less and less of them are in functional condition. But these things, right? This one actually seems like it's... Yeah, this one looks like it's been constructed in a way where that won't happen, but some of the others have the... Yeah, let's see. That's triple A's, aren't they? Not double A's. I mean, this one I normally just run off a power supply anyway, but it was just more for the video. I was wondering if I could set up, but the 0.5 Rontgen level might be quite hard for even a DP thingy bob scale to do. So yeah, that's that one. I need to find, though, saying that, the covers for this, because this one was one sent to me without the covers. So I don't know if I've actually got the springs handy either. Yeah, it's not essential because you'll see it go off in the video anyway tomorrow. But yeah, these are useful things, but some of them aren't built that well. Because in this pack, although this one is all right, some of them, some of these had the issue of like bits that were loose. You know, so as soon as you pick them up, like this bit would fall off. And I suppose you could put some tin foil there to replicate that, but still, you know, I prefer dogs to cats, but I like both. Yeah, I suppose D&Cs are probably the most used ones, aren't they, for a lot of Geiger counters? What would be really handy is if somebody makes something like this, but to fit those Soviet batteries, just so it's really handy for, you know, Soviet Geiger counters. No, I did not know that Caesar salad popped up. One of the mods timed you out by accident chemistry, but my answer to you was if you paid about £80 to £100 for a DP63, that's not too bad, assuming it all comes and works. You know, right, Mike? I've not actually used the, is that Norwegian Skied Mask 51 or Swedish one? But that's the one that's essentially an American M9 clone, isn't it? The Finnish M61 is excellent, but I haven't used that particular variant of it. But the Finnish M61 is better than the original US M9s. Right, White Wolf, let me see if it's handy for you without going too far away. So I'll be back in just a moment. You lot can amuse yourselves. If it's handy, I will bring it in and show you the label on it. Yeah, Luca, once you've got the mask, you don't keep the plastic face form in it, otherwise it won't work properly. Let me see if it's handy. Right, I found both of them. So, this is the one you're asking about, wasn't it? The DP, not DP, DPM, DPM. I'm getting confused. I was thinking of Soviet DP5 Geiger counters. Does this have a size label on it somewhere? Right, it does, and you can see it's got my initials on it. Let me put this lamp on so you can hopefully read it a bit better. So this one says 180, 104. I assume that's, yeah, height and chest, so in centimetres. So 180 would be height, as in centimetre from top to bottom of the coat, I believe. And then chest is 104. Actually, no, it'd be from basically your height, wouldn't it? Because 175 centimetres is about 5'8", I think. So yeah, this is essentially for somebody who's about 5'9", 5'10", but it's fine on me anyway. So it's designed for somebody slightly taller than me, but it doesn't really matter. Chest is 104 on this one. Thank God who's gone. I must have missed something there. No problem, White Wolf. But as I said, I prefer the Flecton one to the British one, both because I prefer Flecton as a camo, but this one has a slightly better, you know, like the pull cord sort of thing is designed slightly better and pocket. So what's the label on this one say? Forster Rangalai QB1DN. But yeah, anyway, 5254, 1993. But yeah, I would assume 52 and 54 is maybe some of the sizes. But Germans don't normally use inches, so that's strange. Let me just check in case there's another label on it. Well, I don't think there is. So yeah, for those of you just wanting to see the label, that's what the label says on the German one. Flecton, this colour of Flecton is one of my favourites when it comes to camo patterns. Because I don't know if you can see that, but this is the older style Flecton they used to do, which was brighter. Because it's from the 90s. And then weirdly, later on, it seemed the Germans were printing it on like duller and duller colours. Because these Flecton trousers I've got on, as much as they're a bit faded, are the older kind of brighter ones. But I've got some other Flecton jackets and trousers, which are just kind of like a brown colour. Because none of the colours really contrast each other. But yeah, I don't know if you can see that with the light there, but it's like quite a greeny sort of, you know, the colours are quite contrasty on this, rather than it being you know, just a generic brown one. It's a bit weird, stalker experience, but whatever floats their boat, you know. The thing I do like, though, I've said quite a few times about raincoats with camo patterns on them, is the camo doesn't fade very much on Gore-Tex or whatever else. Whereas if you get, you know, like lots of things like trousers, every time you wash them, the camo fades more and more, and UV seems to fade it, but raincoats never seem to fade as fast. Right, the person who wants to see a GP5. Do I have a GP5 behind me? I've got a GP5 up there, but I'll tell you what, I'll show you a PMG, because I've got a PMG more handy. They're both pretty similar Soviet masks. They all use the same principle of having a hood. Thank you, Dank Magician 11, I appreciate it. But yeah, this isn't a GP5, but it's a cooler Soviet mask. So there's a sizing chart for GP5 I shared earlier. Have a look at that. And then... this one's got a voice rifle. And if you've played Half-Life 2, you'll probably recognise this mask. Yep. And I don't have a US 10, whatever that is for. Alright, whereabouts are you in Ireland and then Telak Beast, because we have a few both Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland viewers on here. Well, we have people from pretty much everywhere all over the world, but that's what was interesting. Yeah, the Metro Cop speech diaphragms aren't too much off, like, you know, combine radio stuff in that because of just how much they muffle your voice. You can get American gas masks, but it's just ITAR prevents the sale of some of them. But I've got a few American ones. I've got an M17A2, an M9A1, the M40 and M50. Technically, PPE exports are banned at the moment, Louise, from Russia. That's a bit retro mom spaghetti, but still cool. I've never used an SGE 400, right? The problem is with the SGE 400s, apparently they are kind of all right as a mask. I'm going to turn the Geiger off now because that's going to tick and annoy me. But the issue is with the SGE 400s was that they basically kind of did a shilling campaign, you know, where they paid lots or sent them to free to lots of YouTubers who didn't really know anything about masks, to go like, look how amazing this mask is, you know, all the other masks can compete. So they kind of did a bit of a shoddy ad campaign for them. So I don't really have anything against the mask itself, but I've never seen one for a good price. But the problem was that the reason why people think they're good is because they got a load of YouTubers to shill them. That's good, White Wolf, if you can eventually get one shipped to you. I won't be able to remember to do it in the next video, but I can shout you out now if I can pronounce your name, the Talagt Beast. But there you go. In terms of how long they last, Werner Christoph, it's completely down to how much you're breathing through it and what they're exposed to. In terms of particle protection, they last pretty much forever unless you're using them in like a really dusty room non-stop. In terms of vapor protection, the more they're open, the faster they run out and everything else. But yeah, fun with guns. The thing is, it's very generic. If I've got the Romanian filter behind me, it's actually really, really handy for this. Because here we go. Ooh, that landed on my night vision. That wasn't good. But it's fine. It landed on the mount, not the other bit. So yeah, if you look at that, see there's different times for different gases. Let me just turn that light back on. So different gases, different concentrations, different times. But for example, if this was exposed to chlorician, whatever that is in English, somebody did tell me, and that's only at 3 milligrams per litre of air, it would only last 10 minutes, an NDC filter. So the point is that, you know, filters have completely different times they last depending on what they're exposed to. It depends what you're using them for, chemistry, but if it isn't for vapor protection, it's just particle protection, there's no problem with using the same filters over and over and over again. I do it all the time. Yeah, it's older than the SVT though, isn't it, the Schmidt-Rubin? It's from like the 1889, isn't it, Schmidt-Rubin? Mine's from 1892 when I looked up the serial number. Something about Geiger, something media. Let's translate Joe's comment and see what he said, because I have no idea. It might be an insult and he might be saying something nice, or he might be asking a really... He says, I need a mid-range Geiger counter. The GQ GMC 500 Plus does that. I mean, they're not perfect, but the one I was just showing, they do that. Depends what you really want to spend on it, but really. No, I would say COVID. Thank you again, Dank Magician. I would say COVID is a much bigger threat than nuclear war for most people. Because, I mean, most people don't die at the moment every day from nuclear war, do they? But people die from coronavirus. But there's more reasons than just nuclear war to want a Geiger counter. Like, you know, those Chernobyl forest fires recently that have still got my therapy contaminated. That was never in the Boy Scouts. Originally, Looney Toony Husky, it was just go on Amazon or eBay, type in RD40 filter, 40mm filter, stuff like that, see what results came up. Well, Louise, a lot of them were probably listed before the PPE export ban. Some of them might not fall under that ban, and some of them are probably not coming from Russia. Some are probably coming from Belarus, like Belarus, Ukraine, Estonia, lots of places like that aren't actually Russia. I wouldn't really want to use a filter, a mask that old, that thick, just because you're going to run into the issue of potentially inhaling asbestos from a breaking down old filter or other filtered medium. Like when filters get above a certain age, they actually, I think, become more hazardous than not using a filter because you're, obviously going to risk filter medium breaking down and being inhaled. The Talact B says, I have watched for 4 years. That's nice. Hope you enjoy the videos then. As in World War One Zelensky commands, no idea. Maybe collectors forums, things like that. I don't know, I still want to know what the US-10 is. Yeah, Broken Arrow incidents, Ian explains. We sometimes get those brought up on streams, but yeah, I've actually got a DVD on that. It was from the makers of Trinity and Beyond. No, I sadly, Daniel, do not have a Russian anti-rad kit. I've got some Russian detectors, but I don't have any like Russian medications. I don't know if you can even legally buy them. I've got some, Russian masks, Russian NBC gear and all that, and Russian radiation detectors or Soviet radiation detectors, but no actual like medication. US 10, I'm just going to Google it, US 10 gas mask. Is that a really old one? Because there's one that looks like a picture Duke Nougat's taken. But that's an M8 1110, so that's not what you're asking. There's the M210, and weirdly, it's got the tags gas mask fetish BDSM scary, and a kid's wearing it in the picture, which is a bit off-putting when people use fetish tags along with pictures of kids. But no, I still don't know what you mean by the US 10. If they managed to thread it on there and it was an airtight connection, it worked, good on them, but try not for a lot of people to get this too political because, it's a bit annoying when these turn into political arguments in these streams. No, serrated knives are completely legal, White Wolf. They just fall under all the other UK laws on knives about folding blades, fixed blades, length of the blade. I've got a USM 40 if he's thinking of that, but he keeps saying M10. There's a Czech M10, but there's not a US M10 as far as I'm aware, and if so, it's probably quite a rare mask. I'd say the Shums is my scariest mask, Talact Beast, or the SR1 Casualty mask I have. Casualty masks are generally pretty creepy because they're kind of like straight jacket masks you tie on somebody's head when they're injured. But yeah, I don't have, sadly, an American Mickey Mouse mask. Ah, okay, Harris, thank you for explaining that. So, no, I don't have that, but it would have been a good mask, but it's probably quite rare. But yeah, it's when they apparently did the thing with both the M40 and the S10, didn't they? And the S10 was probably the better mask, and they still went with the M40 because of America. Yeah, what's that, Kansas or somewhere, Joe P? Because that's where they have all the Minutemen silos, don't they? Or the Titan 2 silos, whatever it is, in the day after. But the day after isn't as good as Fred's, I'm just saying. Yeah, I generally like quite a lot of different masks like that. T-Ville, like the ones that are kind of like the hood sort of skull looking masks. I would have no idea about World War One prices because I haven't got any World War One masks. I've not really got any, I wouldn't really be looking into getting any, and mask prices at the moment are crazy. So if you're interested in World War One mask prices, you're better off asking on like history and sort of trading forums, I think. Mike says, just ate so much I feel sick. Had a large lamb kebab in a pit of bread stuff now. I didn't have much to eat today. I made the mistake of cooking some whole grain rice and then remembered halfway through the bowl I'm not really a massive fan of whole grain rice. But what I did last night, Mike, was I ordered that what's it, hoisin sauce, whatever it's called, that nice Chinese one that goes well with duck. I ordered some of that. I ordered Chinese 5 spices because I was looking up Chinese chicken mayo, what's in it, because I really like that, and that is essentially mayonnaise just mixed with Chinese 5 spices. And when we go shopping at Iceland, I'm getting some like Crucial's mint sort of yogurt mayo because that's probably one of my favourite mayos and it doesn't upset my stomach too much. So then what I can do is next time I have something nice, I can mix them all together and make kind of, you know, like more interesting tasting mayo. Habosh Ali says, this is so boring, and he spelled boring wrong. Do you mean like I'm boring a hole in the ground? If you find it boring, you can not watch the stream, can't you? You can go watch your, don't know what you like to watch, but go watch something you find interesting. And he says, ooh, East German M56 helmet. Weirdly, comrade. Right, what I've also got, which I've never bothered putting on it yet, is the thing for it. So let's see. I don't actually know how this ties up over it because I've never put it on before. So it'd have been better if I tried working it out before I started doing the video. Ah, I see. It's an elasticated, stretchy bit over all of it, but the back bit. That makes sense. Right, okay. So what I need to do is stretch that bit over. Then it has like the mosquito net bit, doesn't it, that comes out the front, like a face veil. So let's get that out. Let's just do the thing on it. Yeah, that's the button undone. So yes, so that's the very front. I've got another button to undo. Hang on, and then we'll put this on. Because I've never actually done a thing on this yet. The East German thing. I wanted one for ages, and then couldn't find one for a good price. And then suddenly a load just turned up on eBay at a decent price at one point, so I bought one and then never really did a video on it. Have I not even done a video yet? I don't think on my M10 Strictan like NBC hood, which is really really cool. As much as I don't like the M10. Because, you know, it's Strictan, and I never got around to doing a video on that either. Right, okay, so I think that's almost this stretched over there. Yeah, there we go. So then, imagine that pulls it a bit tighter, but I don't need to really pull that at the moment. So you'd... Wow, Jack, if a nuclear war did kick off, we'd all be dead. But at the moment, less people are dying from nuclear war. That was my point. Because you were saying at the moment, what's more serious, coronavirus or nuclear war? And people are dying every day from coronavirus, but they're not dying every day from nukes, are they? That's my point. Favourite helmet in my collection? In terms of practicality, the modern British one I've got. In terms of, you know, retro coolness factor, maybe the Swiss M18s. Especially like that bright yellow civil defence Swiss M18. This isn't a Nazi helmet. It's an East German helmet. I mean, technically the Nazis did design this helmet and then they never produced it. But oh, and my new tub of silicone lubricant came earlier. My new spray bottle of silicone lube. Although it's not sexy silicone lube. It's silicone lube for putting on guns and like masks. But no, it's not a head cover for bees. It looks pretty similar, but it's sort of a mosquito thing. I think it just makes the person's face harder to see when they've got it on. It would definitely have to have a drinking tube in it if I was wearing it for that long. But I've never sort of. I think I've not got one, but didn't German somebody say to me for the M2000 actually design like a glucose, whatever the word is, glucose sort of thing that you could put through the drinking tube, so you can actually feed the soldiers while they've got the mask on as well if they needed it on for a really long period. Not loads rich, but I think they look cool. But you know, it's not something I've ever thought about getting reproduction ones or whatever. Peach is quoting the awful remake of The Wicker Man with Nicolas Cage. Not the bees, they're in my eyes, I know that's not Nicolas Cage voice, but still. I'll be off in a few minutes anyway. Rave Brass says trying to snag a Fedayeen helmet, but they're 1K plus. What, the Iraqi Darth Vader helmets? I do actually know what you mean by that. In June, what's the name of the elite Fremen guys? They have a name like the Feyadeen, don't they? But I can't remember now. Because it's the world's most mass-produced gas mask dank magician. The Soviets supposedly built over 100 million GP5s, and that's just the standard, latex hood-style GP5. That doesn't include GP5Ms, all the other Soviet military masks, all the other Soviet civilian masks. They just spammed production of them, basically. And because there's so many just literally where you can trip over them in warehouses in Russia, supply and demand. I wouldn't say it's overrated. I mean, it is what it is. It's just a very famous cheap gas mask, I don't think it's over or underrated, really, a GP5. It's just a mask that exists, and it has a niche little bit of history behind it. Because they thought the Americans were going to bomb them, and the communist planned economy meant that they had to keep making stuff, Arnold. That was basically the reason for it, was that, one of my Polish viewers told me that the Polish military equivalent, the OM-14, interestingly, when they first started military service, their OM-14s were meant to last them something like, a year or 2 years of military service each. So they had to look after it. And then later in the Cold War, they were being issued new masks like every month because the factories just had to keep making them to keep people employed, and, keep the planned economy going. So they had these kind of pointless like masks just being issued to them. No, the FP5 is the filter fox sickness that went along with the MP5, just like the FP6 filter, which I've got some, and I haven't shown them in a video, even though I meant to have done it ages ago, is the equivalent for the MP6 mask. How many Hungarian masks do I have? I have that 75M or whatever it's called, like the cloth type one. And I've got, is it the M70, which is the PMG copy? I think that's the only Hungarian masks I have, actually. It's stupid, Sebastian, if they're like destroying them and throwing them away rather than selling them. But, it's not America is the only country that does that with Milsip. I've got a few bayonets varying Redbeard, if that's what you're asking. I don't know what you mean by white arms, Abdo, unless I'm completely missing something. Thank you, Jeff. It's the Fiderkin or the Fiderkeen Fremen Death Commandos. Thank you. That's what I was thinking of. Not the Feyadeen or whatever the other one is, but quite similar sounding words. We were talking about June weirdly on Mike's stream the other day. The David Lynch one that I really like and Mike really likes, even though most people hate the David Lynch adaptation. But yeah, the have you all been watching the screenshots from the new Dune or Dune, depending on how you pronounce it? Looks fucking awful. I was hoping it'd be good. It just looks awful. It just looks so bland. And Dune is like the least bland sci-fi thing possible. It's like crazy space aristocracy stuff. And then, it's all in a new one, it's all like just Chinese kind of Miltech kind of gear, or like the still suits are literally, I've got the gloves they have on the still suit over there somewhere. It's just like Chinese tactical gloves that you buy really cheaply on Amazon. I'm hoping it will be all right, Jeff. I don't want to write it off. I'm hoping they do a good job, but I get the impression looking at how bland it looks that it's like that's the opposite of what Dune's meant to be, Right, cool. I'll catch you at 9 PM, Mike, when you're on there. It might random sod, but they might as well just get masks from Avon because, that keeps jobs over here, doesn't it? Hello, Sing. I'll be off in a minute, but hello. That's interesting, Harris. So how did the Germans do it differently? Or do you think the German glucose doesn't work either and they're just pretending it does? They should sell them as surplus or give them to doctors, shouldn't they, at the moment, Sebastian, with all the shit that's going on. But, you know, that's all right, George. I'm afraid I'm off in, like, literally a minute or two, George. No, I still don't know what Tiger King is. People keep mentioning it to me. When I think of the word King Tiger or whatever, I always think of the German tank, you know, the Tiger II, that King Tiger. Normally daily at the moment, AK-47, because we're all stuck at home, aren't we? Varying Redbeard says 2 World Wars, 1 World Cup. Say no more. Yeah, definitely sub to Weapon Collector Henry. If you like my videos, you'll probably like his. Fox Sickness says, I just realised in Stranger Things they use what looks like a GP5 or submodel in the Russian research facility of the hose. It's based in the mid-80s. Is that accurate? I mean, the Soviets had masks like that, of course, because they were making them in that time period. But is that Series 2 or whatever of Stranger Things? I've only watched it for the series. I mean, it protects the wearer from inhaling radioactive substances. It doesn't protect them, you know, externally from radiation, really. I mean, it cuts down the amount of beta that gets through marginally, but it's more just it stops it contaminating your skin. Tiger tanks. Phil Marston says the US 10 was Avon submission to the US XM40 trials in 1985. The US 10 is S10 with C8R1 harness and the US quick disconnect C2 filter and a hood and US bag and the gun. The guy is building hoods for them too. That's cool. But yeah, it sounds like it was a good mask, but I guess the US just went the M40, didn't they? I actually think the XM40 looks cooler than the M40 of the M17's like voice diaphragm bit on it, an exhale valve. But anyway, I'm going to be off now because, as I said, otherwise I'm never going to go off. Have you seen Rave Bright? Have you seen Fred's? If you've seen Fred's, maybe watch When the Wind Blows. If you've seen both of those, I don't know what to suggest. So Abdo says, white arm is a common Arabic term for any non-firearm type weapon used for self-defense or killing, including swords, daggers, sticks, and batons. I've certainly got a few swords and daggers and things like that, Abdo. But in the UK, obviously, I can't go around saying I would use this for self-defense because that would be illegal. So, you know, like you can probably see there's a saber behind me there. No, I don't have any clothes that would protect me from EMF. But you know, I don't think if a nuke goes off, you need to be very worried about the EMP type blast to your body, other than the searing heat and, you know, wind that's going to snap you into pieces. But yeah, when you come on another stream at some point, Abdo, ask me to show you some of them, because you know there are swords and things I've got here. But anyway, see you everybody. Thank you for all of the donations. And yes, it is a nice East German helmet. It makes a very good bow sound when you've got it on your head and you hit it. But yeah, thanks everybody, and I will see you on the stream tomorrow, and I'll be on Weapon Collector's stream later tonight if anybody's on there. I'm sure quite a few of you will be on there. But anyway, see you all. Goodbye. Good evening. Happy VE Day.